Kosovo's first ambassador to the United States, Avni Spahiu, took office on November 9, 2009. He has publicly acknowledged Kosovo's debt to the United States, having said in 2007 that America saved his nation and will be forever grateful. Born March 12, 1956 in Mitrovica, Kosovo, Spahiu grew up in Mitrovica, although he graduated high school in Elk Rapids, Michigan, where he was in the class of 1974. He earned a bachelor's degree in literature from the University of Pristina in Pristina, Kosovo, and 1978 completed postgraduate studies in literature at the Faculty of Philology in the same place in 1986. As Kosovo entered this crisis period during the 1990s, Spahiu was a busy man. Along with some of the leading intellectuals of Kosovo, he founded Kosovo's first Human Rights Council, which wrote reports and filed appeals to the United Nations and democratic European countries regarding human rights violations in Kosovo. In that capacity, he spoke before United Nations sessions on human rights in Geneva and attended roundtable discussions in various capitals on political issues and human rights, such as OSCE Human Dimension conferences at Copenhagen in Norway, Sweden, Germany, and Austria. He co-founded the first free news agency in Kosovo, the Kosovo Information Center. In 1999, with Kosovo's autonomy re-established, Spahiu became editor-in-chief of Radio Television of Kosovo, and finally became a director of Radio Department of Kosovo in 2003. The ambassador is a literature person, has translated and published more than 20 books. And you said 30, yes? Like just a few minutes ago. About 30 books into Albanian, mostly literature books. Has written 3 books, including a collection of feature articles written during his years working in the United States, a book on the Albanian diaspora in America, and a biography of Monsignor Fan Stylianoli, an Albanian-American Orthodox priest who was Prime Minister of Albania in 1924. So please join me in welcoming the ambassador.
Thank you very much. It's so an honor to be here at your association. I also want to thank you for your visit to our embassy to learn about your organization, your association, and the great work that you've been doing for the Turkish American associations and Turkish cause. Thank you very much for your invitation. I would start with the good news today. The EU Commissioner, Mr. Fule, was in Pristina today, and he commenced the feasibility process for Kosovo, which is good news on our way and path towards EU integrations. In the meantime, there is an ongoing process on visa liberalization for Kosovo, and even though we have a somewhat slow path in this direction, I think these are 2 good signs for Kosovo, which is one of our priorities to join EU integrations and Euro-Atlantic integrations as well. A month ago, Kosovo celebrated its 4th year of independence. By the way, you mentioned reinstatement of autonomy. In fact, it's independence that we achieved after a very difficult period in the 90s and the terrible war that happened in 1999, as a consequence of which we had close to 15,000 people killed, mostly civilians, and 120,000 houses and buildings destroyed, over 20,000 women raped, thousands and thousands wounded, and a total destruction as a consequence of this terrible war. Fortunately, it was the United States and NATO and its allies that came to the rescue of the people of Kosovo and stopped these atrocities. By the way, 2/3 of the entire population of Kosovo were driven out at gunpoint by the military machinery of Milosevic, Serbian machinery. But ever since, we were somewhat reluctant to talk about our past that much. We would rather speak about our present and about our future. Kosovo became independent and has made tremendous progress ever since February 17th, 2008, when we declared our independence. We have a constitution in place which we consider to be one of the best in the region for granting a wide range of rights to the communities. You know, Kosovo is a country of 2 million people. Most of them are Albanians, ethnic Albanians, with around 90%. There are 5 or 6% Serbs, and there are around 2% Turks in Kosovo, and even some other communities living there, who are, all of these are represented on our flag as 6 stars, equally represented. And we're very proud of this composition of our country. We think it's a richness, it's something that nourishes tolerance and the color of the mosaic of Kosovo, which has been traditional, and we have lived in the past in peace with all our neighbors, with all the communities there, and we hope that we'll be able to do so in the future. I'm sure, in fact. For the communities, there is overrepresentation in our parliament based on the constitution, which means that the ethnic groups, which are a minority, they may have representation with guaranteed representation of seats in the parliament, which means that in addition to what they gain on regular election voting process, they will also have guaranteed seats. That is 10 for the Serbs and 10 for the other minority groups. On the other hand, in this sense, Kosovo's official languages are Albanian, but also Serbian for the entire country, even though they make up only 5 to 6% of the population. Serbian language is recognized as an official language for the entire. And in the municipalities where there are Turks, the official language is also Turkish, and there are schools in Turkish and in other languages, like also in Bosnian. So this proves that Kosovo is a truly democratic country that takes care of its minorities, of its ethnic groups, and will continue to do so for as long as it exists. Kosovo's independence has proven to be an extraordinary development, not only for Kosovo, but also for the region as well. Ever since its independence, the entire region feels much more relaxed. We have excellent relations with our neighbors, with the exception of Serbia, of course. We have embassies in all these countries. They have all recognized Kosovo. And we share the same targets, the same strategies and strategic aims, which is again joining EU and Euro-Atlantic integrations. With the United States, we have special links, particularly after it was for the United States that came to the rescue of the people of Kosovo during the war. But even before that, the United States were always there to listen to our cause and supported us before the war, during the war, and after, and it continues to support Kosovo in building its democratic society and its democratic country. There is an ongoing process in the north of Kosovo. I'm sure you know that there is a problem in the north of Kosovo in which Serbia has been exerting pressure against the people there, asking them and demanding that they do not recognize the new reality and Kosovo's institutions. However, most of the Serbs in Kosovo do not live in the north. They live elsewhere in Kosovo, and they are very well integrated into our society, into our institutions, political and others. Just to mention that our Deputy Prime Minister of Kosovo currently is a Serb, and there are also 3 other ministers. Another minister is from the Turkish community. And there are 5 mayors who are Serbs in Kosovo, besides I'm talking elsewhere in Kosovo, besides the north. There is according to the Ahtisaari plan on which Kosovo's independence was based, our government has been trying to organize a process of setting up municipalities, new municipalities in the north for the Serbs. And there are Serbs in the north who want to talk and get involved in this process, despite the threats and intimidation coming from Belgrade. We think that this process will finally triumph, and we will have the integration of that part of the country, despite what Serbia has been trying to do. As I said, there is this process of talks with Serbia, which is not about the status of Kosovo. We consider the status of Kosovo is finished, it's complete, but rather on practical issues dealing with daily life, how to improve the people's life in that part of the country. And so far, there has been some achievement in this sense. One of these was the representation of Kosovo, which was something that was much debated about. It was a concession on the Kosovo side by accepting an asterisk for in meetings where Kosovo will be present, stating also the resolution 1244, but also the opinion of the International Court on Kosovo status. As you know, after independence, Serbia addressed the issue to the United Nations, and they decided to take this to the court, the International Court. And the opinion of the International Court was that Kosovo's independence was in line with international law. Kosovo is trying to play a role, an active role in the region. It is constructive, and it develops good neighborly relations, and we have proven once again that we are a stabilization factor in the region. Now, this was just an introduction. I would be glad to answer to any of your questions that you might have. Thank you. Yeah.
If I understand your personal history right, you came here and went to high school in Michigan,
Yes.
but then you returned home.
Yeah.
Could you walk us through your thought process and your feelings as you made the decision to return home?
Well, you know, when from this distance, if I had to go the same way, maybe I would have second thoughts. But, you know, in the 70s, Kosovo had its best days. Best days, when I say in that permanently bad situation that we were in. For the first time, we had our university, we had an autonomy, we had gained some particular ethnic rights, and the persecution was less present than usual. So for the first time we were breathing more free than in other times. And I think it was this feeling of idealism to everyone, especially to the intellectuals in Kosovo, and everyone wanted to do something and be there, be part of that. And that's why we never had second thoughts. We went back and became part of this important process. Unfortunately, things deteriorated very, very fast, and we were caught in that these troubled waters, and we just had to move on. And we tried to do something in order to elevate the pain and the suffering of the people, of our people. So that's how you get involved. And later on, I became editor-in-chief of the only daily newspaper over there, which was banned by the regime. And we had to publish this in a clandestine way, publishing it illegally and under permanent danger. But that was our way, and there's no other way that we could think of, you know, to oppose this terrible repression and persecution that went on in Kosovo.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The pull to go home is strong, isn't it?
Yeah,
Pull to go home.
absolutely. Yes, sir.
Mr. Grasser, I wonder if I might ask you some historical analysis. I was in the State Department working on OSCE issues at the time of the fighting, and I remember sending the observer mission of the OSCE, the meeting at Rambouillet, and eventually bombing, and I'm aware of all the history of Serbian atrocities and everything else that preceded that. However, in some of the readings on the subject, they seem to indicate, some of the readings I've seen, that of all the total atrocities, deaths, exiles, ethnic cleansing, the bulk of that happened, in fact, after the bombing began, rather than before. And it was obviously, it was no picnic before. We're aware of that. But in fact, bulk of the casualties, the violence, was after the bombing had begun, and it all became. Could you address that and help to clarify that?
Yes. However, that is true. But before that, some terrible atrocities happened. Let's say in the village of Prekaz, when 52 members of a larger family were killed, including 2-year-old children, babies. And that happened in a dozen of places. And KLA started this armed resistance, and after a period of a peaceful resistance led by late President Rugova, it was the stage for an armed resistance. And KLA, the Kosovo Liberation Army, came to being, and they started fighting. And it was not a war in a classical sense, because the Serbian troops, paramilitaries, regular army, policemen, they began taking revenge on innocent civilians. And that was the most terrible thing. And if it were not for NATO to intervene, this would have gone on, and the price would have been much worse. After that, Milosevic opted for final solution, so to say, and began driving Albanians out. During the 90s period, all Albanians were driven out of jobs. Schools were banned in Albanian. So we had to set up a system, a parallel system, with schools in private homes and garages and other facilities, buildings, just to keep it alive. Also a health system, parallel health system, because people were afraid to go to Serb-run hospitals, in which many suffered and died. So we had to keep this life going through an active, peaceful resistance. However, things deteriorated that much that people could not take it anymore. When they began killing entire families, then KLA, some people began fighting took up arms and began resisting. So if it were not for the intervention, I think the atrocities would have continued, and the situation would have been much worse than it was. Everybody in Kosovo has its own personal history, and also we, in addition to our collective drama and history. And I remember when they came in and they gave us 5 seconds to leave, driven at gunpoint. We thought they were going to take us to some concentration camp, but we were taken out of the country, you know, with children. So if it was not for the intervention thing, we know what that means, and we know about the ongoing debate whether the international community should intervene in similar situation. But we know what that means because we went through this, and it was very, very important for us. Yes.
First of all, thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Did I understand you correctly to say that along with Serbian and Albanian and Serbian, Turkish is also an official language of Kosovo?
Yeah, Turkish is an official language in the areas where Turks live. In those municipalities in which they make the majority, Turkish is an official language for these.
Are government documents published in
Yes.
all 3 languages all over the country?
In 3 languages, yes.
Even in the non-majority Turkish areas?
For example, a Turkish member of parliament would speak in Turkish in the parliament, would use his own language, and there will be also an interpreter when others speak in other languages. So it's official.
Do they have
Translated. Yes, there are.
But in Pristina, are all government documents published in 3 languages?
3 languages. Also, English is becoming in. You know, we pay very much attention to English, and English is taught in our elementary school from the very first year. You know, and, most of the young people who make up majority of the population. By the way, we are the youngest nation in Europe, with an average age of under 30. And these are young people eager to learn and to study, very well educated. We have thousands of young people studying abroad in different European universities, also in the United States. There is an American university in Kosovo, which is very popular. I think it's one of these elite institutions of education in Kosovo. We have 2 public universities. We have a dozen of private universities and private high schools. One of them is a Turkish high school, which is very successful in Kosovo.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
Mr. Ambassador, first of all, thank you very much for your enlightening speech. I learned a lot about Kosovo, and I'm surprised to what extent it's pluralistic, it's inclusive. I learned that you have 3 official languages. It's quite interesting for myself. And I'm wondering what was the values and norms in the nation building process that helped Kosovo to be so inclusive, looking at the painful experience in the past, having such an open society in that circumstance. It's very interesting for me. Could you please elaborate on that?
Absolutely. It's I think one of the motives that we got is precisely because we went through a painful period and we suffered a lot ourselves. And we learned the lesson. We didn't want to create a society in which someone would feel as a second-class citizen or feel discriminated, because we went through that and we know what that means. And because of that, we wanted to build an inclusive society. On the other hand, Kosovo has been multi-ethnic and multi-religious and multicultural for a long time. Even though 90% of the people are Albanians, they have been living there with people belonging to other religions. In Kosovo, you can find a mosque standing close to a church, people cooperating, interacting, and that is something wonderful that happens. You know, there's this sense of religious tolerance, of ethnic tolerance, despite of what happened. I think one of our best values is that after the war, there was no hatred. Of course, there were cases, individual cases of revenge, and stuff, but as a whole, if you speak to an Albanian, if he hates the Serb, he would say no. And there are also Serbs who, in Kosovo, who do not feel at ease with what happened, and they are sorry for their own government, what they did in Kosovo. So we're trying to develop this, which is not simply a reconciliation process, but it's something much more. It's a foundation that we're building for our democratic country.
My question is, the 3 languages, official languages, are they in the education curriculum? And also, is there any intentions of the people to learn, young generation to learn each other's language?
Yeah. Well, there are classes in the languages, in different languages, depending on what community you belong to. There are classes in Turkish, in Albanian, in Serbian, in Bosnian. I think we are one of these rare countries that offers Roma teaching to our Roma population as well. And I was very fortunate to be one of those people who set up the public broadcaster in Kosovo, and I was proud to start programs in 5 languages at our public broadcaster, including Roma. languages, you know. So we feel very generous with this, and we want that everyone in Kosovo feels that Kosovo is their own country, and that's where their life and the present and the future lies. So, yeah.
If I may ask again, Mr. Ambassador, societies that have undergone the kind of turmoil and refugee displacement such as yours often have lasting problems over restitution of property. I'm wondering if there are any particularly lingering problems in Kosovo, and if not, how do you solve them?
Yeah. It's a very good question, because this has been an issue in Kosovo. When the Serbian authorities left Kosovo following the Kumanovo agreement by which they had to leave, they took away all the documentation from the municipalities, and that included title deeds for the property. So after the war, this became a big problem. And also some of the people who went away, were driven away from their country, when they got back, they found that their apartments, their houses were occupied, because that's what happens after a terrible conflict. You know, people just enter homes and claim it for their own. So you have to prove again that that was your place. So this we had the help of UNMIK, United Nations Mission after the war, which had a great contribution, in fact, to setting up the new state institutions in Kosovo. But this problem lingered until the present day, and we are talking with Serbia in these practical talks that we're having to get these documents back. And they said okay, but they said they could give us only the copies, not the originals. I don't know why they keep the originals. Maybe they think to try to come back someday. But then we said, okay, we will certify them with EU institutions, and they'll be validated. However, so far, documents from only one municipality were given to the Kosovo side. So we're having problems in that as well. In the meantime, some people use some old personal documents which are then verified through witnesses, and trying to really move the process. But it's a big problem. Yeah.
I have two questions that are kind of unrelated. First is, you know, in the wake of such conflicts, you know, the certain portion of the population get militarized and so on. It's difficult to integrate them, as we see in Libya, for instance. You know, the former rebels now, they don't want to give up the arms. And so, what was the integration process regarding Kosovo, you know, with related to Kosovo Liberation Army? So that's my first question. Second is, how is your relation with Turkey, and more specifically Turkish government, and regarding their kind of ambitions in Balkans and things? So,
good. Well, first, after the war, we had an interesting number that we never thought it would be. The number of KLA soldiers is over 60,000. I'm sure there were not more than 10,000. If there were 60,000, you know, they would have really not need the help of NATO. They would have driven these forces themselves out. So you see that after the war, everyone wants to to show how brave he was. He was a part of liberation movement. So after the war, you have problems with these kinds of people. KLA was transformed into a new civilian defense force. Now it's a security force of Kosovo, and they are undergoing training through the help of support of NATO and the United States, with hopefully for someday to become an army for Kosovo. They've been well trained, and they took part on several emergency situations in Kosovo, but also in other neighboring countries. So they're very professional, and they're doing. So that was part of the integration of the KLA members. Some others have also been included into the police force, and some enjoy the status of a veteran and are supported by the government. But again, this number has become so overwhelming, so it's difficult. On the Turkish-Kosovo relations, Turkey is one of our biggest partners and friends in the region. I remember during the war, Turkey took in thousands and thousands of refugees from Kosovo, and we were very, very grateful about that. And after Turkey also supported Kosovo's independence. It was one of the first countries to recognize. If you ask them, they would say we were the first. But there are several countries who want to be the first. And they supported Kosovo ever since, after the war as well. And Turkey is one of the biggest investors in Kosovo as well. With a company from the United States called Bechtel is also Anka, who is building the highways in Kosovo. And in other fields as well, Turkey has been investing very much in Kosovo. And we think that Turkey's role is becoming more and more evident in the region. Turkey is in the regional terms, some small superpower there, and they have a role to play. And I'm not speaking on military terms, but rather on economic potentials and other things. So I see a role there, and think also Turkey is cooperating very well with other countries in the region, including Macedonia, Albania, and Bosnia. And we have great relations with them.
Since the Ahtisaari plan and afterwards with the Constitution of Kosovo, the Orthodox Church of Serbia has been granted some asymmetrical rights between the religious communities in Kosovo. How that fits with the principle, which is a constitutional principle of neutrality in Kosovo?
Well, we consider in Kosovo that accepting the Ahtisaari plan was, in fact, a compromise on our side, and we know that similar to the overrepresentation of Serbs in our parliament, there are also some other concessions. In particular, in line with their religious sites. There is a wrong impression, I think, in the public that Kosovo considers them to be Serbian sites. In fact, they belong to Kosovo. They're part of Kosovo heritage. And if we go further back, maybe these churches also belong to the Albanians, because everyone was Christian before the Ottoman conquest. So this we consider part of our past, of our heritage. Not only the mosque that we have there and our religious Muslim sites, but everything else in Kosovo belongs to Kosovo. And it is true that there have been some concessions, maybe more than to other religious groups in this regard, because they keep complaining all the time. But I think everything has been stipulated in our constitution and regulated in there. There is an ongoing debate, for example, in one of the municipalities in which also our international friends want to grant special privileges to the Orthodox Church, and this has been opposed by the people there, by the town council, and so these are some issues which we have to settle. Yes. Yeah.
Actually, I want to ask the final question because I know you have limited time.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
so how is the effectiveness of the Kosovo diaspora in the United States?
Yes.
Do you have a number?
Yeah, we just had a meeting, a panel discussion on 100th years of the organization Vatra, which gathered Albanian Americans, and they, during the entire century, they did a tremendous job. First for the creation of Albania, and then finally in support of Kosovo. And they were very active throughout the century. Just to give you an example, for 100 years, over 73 newspapers and periodicals were published by the Albanian Americans. And currently they are supporting Kosovo, not only through remittances, but also through direct investment. They are the first American investors, in fact, in Kosovo. And they are playing an active role, also serving as a bridge between Kosovo and the United States. The number, I think, it's difficult because when they come to the States, the Albanians, they unite. They don't tell you if they're from Albania or Kosovo or Macedonia, they're together. So I think this number of the Albanians in the United States is about 400,000. Mostly in New York, Chicago, Detroit, and elsewhere.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for your attention.
Ready, I believe.
And I
Thank
have
you.
a plate.
You have your plate.